awful day. Just an awful ending. It always stings.
I don't see any way that the Yankees can get as good as Houston by next season. I just don't see it. Taking a look at what the Yankees have and who's available and the way we were totally dominated, do you think that there's a road to getting that, getting on that level? We got outclassed.
No doubt about it. We definitely got outclassed. I would say this. If the Yankees woke up and they said, you know what, maybe Steinbrenner says, I'm not going to take this beating. I'm going to make the change. Maybe the fan, the noise from the fans is so much now that he says, okay, let's make a change. That's the only way. And let me explain to you why. I just don't feel Brian Cashman is creative enough to do what needs to happen to be a team like Houston and to get on that level. Because look, what has changed so much from 6 to 7 years ago to right now? It's like the philosophy when it comes to the offense and how they play, power. It just doesn't work. And you see a team like Houston saying, hey, the Yankees made an error. The Yankees made an error. Oh, what are we going to do? Capitalize. The Yankees are like, we got first and third, one out, pop out and a strikeout. Right. Strikeout and a strikeout. Like, it's just they've seen this year after year after year, and they haven't made the proper changes. So for me, it just comes down to that really is you got to change what has been the same. And what is that? Leadership.
Yeah.
Brian Cashman. People ask me all the time, Pete, I know you dislike Boone and his management style. Who would you rather go? I'd rather Cashman go.
Yeah.
Than Boone.
I completely agree. I look at the last, 20 plus years, really, with the exception of 2009, where we just outbid everybody for all the best free agents.
Yeah.
We've always been kind of behind the curve of the best teams. I mean, you look at right now, even the Dodgers. I would argue the Rays are a better organization. They don't have the money to make up for injuries and stuff like the Yankees do. But the Astros, these are teams that use the analytics but deploy them differently. Correct. Michael Kay had a good point about how the Yankees treat analytics as a regular season tool, and then they look at the postseason as a crapshoot. Doesn't seem to be much of a crapshoot for the Astros.
No, not at all.
6 years in a row to the ALCS.
Yeah.
4 out of the last 6 World Series. But before we get to all that, to who we're going to fire if we were running things, I got to say this. The mental coach on this team, sending around 2004 comeback Red Sox videos, highlights or whatever. I thought it was an Onion headline. Yeah. I couldn't believe that really happened. Who is this guy? Dr. Hannibal Lecter? What's he trying to do to our guys here?
He's as bad, put it that way.
Seriously.
He's as bad.
What was your reaction?
We need a Netflix Jeffrey Dahmer documentary on this guy. We need that type of style. My reaction was, I think, basically what every fan was, what is going on here? I mean, what is this? Look, forget the point of the mental coach. Every sport has that. They have, sports therapists, things like that you can speak to. Fine and dandy. But the fact of the matter is, it's like, the best way to motivate these guys today is let's show one of the darkest moments of Yankee history.
In franchise history.
Let's show 04, and then all of a sudden Boone's like, yeah, you know what? Page David Ortiz in. Let me speak to him for a little bit, see how he handled this.
That's a great point, Pete. I want to get on that before I let you continue. The Yankees have gotten to the point where they have no recent successes, so you have to go to the Red Sox for your motivation. There was a time in the 90s you needed to bring somebody in. In walks Joe DiMaggio through the door.
That's right.
In walks, Reggie Jackson or, Ron Guidry. I guess you could bring the 90s guys around. They don't seem to be too interested in bringing the 90s guys around that much, except to showcase them to the fans once in a while. They don't really involve them in the organization. But if you want to talk about a mental coach, Paul O'Neill should be a mental coach. That's a guy who's actually played Major League Baseball, who has the right mentality.
Yep.
And that brings me to my next question for you, because you've brought this up. I watch a lot of your stuff, and I don't know if you've ever quite phrased it the way I'm about to phrase it, but I feel like the Yankees have gotten very soft as an organization.
Oh, well, yeah, I've definitely.
They've gotten very soft.
Yeah. I've gone out of it. I've said the other words. But we're definitely on the same page on that one. No, they have. And look, there ain't nothing wrong. Look, there ain't nothing wrong with if you handle business a little differently, but when you're going to war, you're going to war. And I mean, I know people, well, is that the right mindset? You want to win a ball game. It's competitive. If you really want to be an organization to go out there and win, you can't do the things this team has done. You just can't. I mean, with stuff like that, the mental coach coming in and doing things like that, I mean, throughout the season, I've pinpointed these things, and I'm going, what is this? I remember there was an interview last year. I think you probably know what I'm talking about. But Marcus Timms was basically asked, how do you handle Gleyber Torres? And he said he goes to him every day and goes, you're the best shortstop in the world. You're all we have. You have to do it. You must do it. You're the greatest. And I'm sitting there saying, you know what would really bug Gleyber Torres' ass? Maybe you benched him and put somebody else there for a week and a half.
That's a great point. I mean, you know what makes somebody get better is being told, you know, hey, you're not good enough. Like, how many times, I mean, you're a content creator. You probably get this. How many times do you get a comment on your channel that says you suck, you should quit?
Of course, all the time.
That makes me put out something. I'm like, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you what I can do.
Right.
And, you know, I feel like, you know, we talked about last year, Aaron Boone saying he was getting bullied by the umpires.
Yeah.
And then we got the roof open, and that kind of killed us. And Judge's exit velocity. I feel like this is a team of excuses now.
Yeah. How about blaming Bader, not knowing he was leading off? He blames the player. So here's okay, and this is what drives me nuts about Aaron Boone, right? Nobody can say, including myself, that Aaron Boone doesn't know baseball. His family lived it. You can never deny that. Here's the thing that drives me mad is when Aaron Boone says something like that, and I'm sitting there saying, hold on, wait a second. Bader has never let off for you guys, ever. Not in the regular season, not when he traded, never sniffed the top of the order. Now the Yankees, who are down, I think at that point they might have been down one, I think it was 2 games they were down.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you go, I'll bat him leadoff, and I expect he'll look at the card. You never thought to say, hey, Harrison, come here.
Right.
You've been playing great. We need a spark at that order. Tomorrow you're going to be leading off. And no reporter goes, hey, Aaron, let me, you wouldn't think it would be a good idea to give him a heads up? Oh, well, everybody gets the lineup card. He must have not looked at it. What?
Yeah.
And then I'm wrong for questioning that there's no leadership on this club?
The communication was a big problem. I mean, and not just the Bader thing. Do you remember the Holmes thing?
Yes,
the
of course.
Yes.
And Severino and...
Look, Holmes has been dealing with issues. We know that he's going to the trainer for soreness. To me, that feels like preemptive stuff. That feels like typical athlete in October at the end of the season stuff. For Aaron Boone to interpret that as he can't pitch without ever having the conversation right there in itself in a playoff game, that is a fireable offense to me.
No question.
Right? And
no
then
question.
Clark Schmidt. 2 times he relied on Clark Schmidt and I'm not going against Clark Schmidt. I think Clark Schmidt is going to be a decent, middle relief pitcher. He is not a high leverage guy against a good team. You need somebody in July to get 2 innings against the Royals or the Orioles. Bring in Clark Schmidt. Would love to see him eat up some innings and get you through the dog days of summer. Don't want to see him against the Astros in the playoffs. I'm sorry, not in a tie game.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And that's the scary thing, right, is that in a small little time frame coming into the postseason, we've seen so many things that, as you said, you're right. At this point, it's a fireable offense. This should not happen. This is year 1 type stuff. This shouldn't be happening in year 5. Even Severino. Remember, Severino came out and said, hey, I don't know why he's our closer. My understanding is, why was he not in? Go ask Boone. I don't know. I figured he'd be in. And even Holmes was asked, were you asked before the game if you were available? And he said, yes. I said, yes. We don't know who asked him, but he said, I was available. And then Boone, for some reason, oh, no, he wasn't. And like you said, it was. Even, too, what's up with the experimenting in the postseason?
I get it. Yeah, the fact that this team used 4 different shortstops in 4 different ALCS games is, they should be ashamed of that. They should be ashamed of that. The fact that, we didn't have a leadoff hitter after Benintendi went down. Yeah. The job of a manager right there is to come out and meet with his team. Day 1 that Benintendi is out, you find out he's got a hamate bone. You say, look, guys, we just lost our leadoff hitter. DJ's down, Benintendi's down. here's what's going to happen for the next 6 weeks. Rizzo, you're in the leadoff spot, or whoever you want to put in there.
Yeah.
But don't switch it up every day.
Correct. And that was one of my big problems, too, is that even with – I remember during the season after they clinched, they were getting ready to start putting out what the rotation would be for 1, 2, 3. And I remember Boone saying Taillon will likely be used out of the bullpen. And I'm sitting there saying, well, you guys clinched already, so why don't you try that 2 or 3 times? And then all of a sudden, look who's coming in. And what happened? Blew the game. Well, what do you expect? I mean, he's never done this before.
I think that, we can go after Boone for hours on, managerial decisions that we were scratching our heads with as fans. But I think, what you mentioned before we actually hit the record button was, Brian Cashman has been in control of this franchise since 1998. Yep. But, he's got several rings. But what a lot of people don't realize is he inherited a lot of the work that was done by Gene Michael, by Bob Watson. He had a core of excellent team-motivated players. I think we just got to devote some time to Brian Cashman. So what is your solution? I mean, do you just start over at GM? I mean, we don't have a lot of time to do that, and if you do that, then you're probably looking at a rebuild because they're going to want their own, philosophy. You got Judge, could be a free agent. That's going to be a big task for a new GM. I mean, the Yankees have put themselves as an organization between a rock and a hard place, and for an organization that prides themselves on being professional, I don't see a lot of forward thinking.
I agree. You're right. It's a tough spot because, again, you got Aaron Judge coming up. That is huge. A new GM will come in and say, you're Mike Fishman's. You're probably all gone. If I am coming into this, let's just say, and one thing, because I am going to bring up analytics, and I'm going to say this. People give analytics a bad name. Analytics is not bad. It's the way it's being utilized.
Right.
The Yankees use analytics completely wrong. They don't use it like you said before, Tampa, Houston, the Braves. A lot of these clubs are using it the right way. It's not all the decision. It's part of the decision making, but it's not everything. It's not basing your lineups and this and that to where the Yankees use it. But I'll be honest right now, man. The Yankees need a complete overhaul in leadership. To me, there's just no denying this at this point. And the longer this stretches out, the longer the drought is going to go.
I agree.
I put a tweet out the other day. And I really believe this. You change leadership, 3-year max, this team wins a World Series.
100%.
I really believe it because, a lot of times people say, well, you brought it up. Look at the Harper miss. Look at all the starting pitching misses.
These were obvious
Look
moves.
at all their yes.
Verlander, come on.
100%. And this is the funny thing that a lot of people tell me. They go, Pete, why don't the Yankees make the obvious moves? And I said, I don't know. Only thing I could say is they want to try to be like the smartest team in the room. Because look at the deal with Minnesota. Tell me where this is smart on the surface. Somebody look at that deal and go, you know what? Did we really hate Gary that much? Was this the reason? No. Did they love IKF that much? There's no way. It's impossible. And when you look at that deal, you just. I remember when it happened, I said, all right, I don't get it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
I remember your video on that. I remember you had the same reaction that I did, which was, that's odd.
Yeah, what the world is this?
The fact that they were interested in IKF doesn't surprise me because he's a contact guy, which is something that we've been saying for years that they needed. But the fact that they got Donaldson didn't make any sense to me. IKF is already the Gold Glove third baseman.
Exactly,
I get they wanted to play him at shortstop, but if you look at the numbers at shortstop last year, he wasn't good.
No.
And just watching him over the course of a full season, at first I liked him, but, you watch him every day, you realize he doesn't have the arm for shortstop. Yeah. First of all, you can't make the throw from the hole. Yeah. He doesn't do well around the second base bag, which is kind of important for a shortstop, and it killed us in the final game.
There was evidence already that IKF probably wouldn't be a good shortstop. Some of that stuff was already out there when he played there. The Yankees were also like, hey, last offseason, or the deadline, if we get Trevor Story, we'll put him in center field. Hey, if we get Matt Chapman, we'll put him at shortstop. He's one of the best third basemen in baseball.
Right.
Why would you put him at short?
I feel like maybe
is somebody playing a joke on us? Is this what's going on?
No, I'll tell you what's happening. there's a video game called Out of the Park Baseball, and it's like a stat-based game. I play it too. But I feel like Brian Cashman's playing that in real life, and he's just taking guys and just changing their position and just saying, okay, Oswaldo Cabrera, you can play right field, you can play left field, and it worked out for him. But for most guys, it doesn't work out. You know,
not at all.
They wanted to put Chapman at shortstop. I immediately, the second I heard that, I did a video saying, "What are you doing? Do not do it." Thank God.
Yeah, I said, you know what? I would like Chapman. I like him at third base.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. Put him at third base. And no, the Yankees, you know, they got to reinvent the wheel and say, hey, you know what? You'll play out of position and we're going to win.
All right, let me ask you this: you got a bunch of infielders coming up. You got Peraza, who to me looked pretty good. Travesty, he didn't get an opportunity to just start at shortstop. I think if he started at shortstop, but after 3 or 4 games of playoff pressure and getting a couple of big hits, I think he would have done some real damage and could have changed things a little bit. But Volpe, we talked about how he probably profiles better at second base. What do you do with Gleyber Torres this winter? I think he's really kind of raised his trade value. I think you might be able to refill some of the coffers by dealing him. What do you think?
Definitely, 100%. You got to move on from Gleyber. One, and this is where I think creativity really falls into place, is the Yankees can very much restructure this roster if they have the right general manager to do it.
Right.
Gleyber Torres is going to get, what, $9.5 million, if not more than that this year coming up? Yep. You can move on from that very easily. Because at the end of the day, do you really feel that it would be such a drop-off to go to one of these kids that you have promised for so long? You think the fan base would be like, oh, my God, I can't believe they got rid of Gleyber. No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think the fans will say, okay, well, Peraza or Volpe is going to end up there, so it makes sense. Yeah. And then if maybe you trade him for a star, maybe a back-end guy, mid-rotation type guy, of course, there's more to go in a deal like that. But you do something along those lines, and you got to be able to look at your roster and go, maybe he's a better player than a Donaldson or a Hicks and these other guys, but maybe he's part of what I created that is now wrong, and I got to change it.
Yeah.
That's the thing is, if you're going to lock in Aaron Judge, which I believe 100% they should, you got Stanton already. You'll see if you can bring Rizzo back. But the Yankees have power. Build around it with your youth. Yeah. This is not hard. This is not a hard thing to do. You just got to be creative enough.
Yeah, I would love to see a mostly kids infield next year. And even if we lose, they're getting better. They're building you towards something because we're losing with the old guys.
Yeah, well, bro, look, what do Houston do at shortstop? We lost Correa. What are we going to do? Pena struggled early on.
Right.
He struggled. And look at the way he finishes. ALCS MVP.
You telling me Anthony Volpe can't put up a decent year next year at second base?
Of course.
I think he would be fine. Just the fact that they're implementing the pitch clock and he's used to stealing bags with that. Yep. And the fact that he's a pretty good defender. He's contact-oriented guy, got a small strike zone.
Yep.
I think even skipping over a full year of development at AAA, he might struggle a little bit out of the gate, but I think he would do a nice job.
Yeah.
And, LeMahieu, I think he needs to slip back into that role where he's not playing every day.
No
I mean, the guy
question about it. At this point now, yes.
2 years in a row, he's broken down.
Yeah.
He's probably at the point where, he plays 3 times a week instead of 6.
I agree.
Give him a day off at first base, or give the first baseman a day off. Give the third baseman a day off, play him a day at second base, let him pinch hit a couple of times a week in a key spot where you need some contact. That's the perfect job for DJ LeMahieu. At third base, I think you just got to roll with Cabrera. I think he did a nice job over there. That allows you to bring Benintendi back in left field, get you another left-handed bat.
This is what we've been told for years now. We were told we were passing on these guys to wait to these guys already. Then just put them out there and say we're gonna run with them. Now, I tell fans this too. Don't be shocked if they're a better team. Don't be shocked if they have maybe not a better record, but if they get into the postseason and do even more damage.
Right.
Because look, what are you adding there? You're adding guys that are hungry, 1. 2, you're adding speed. You're adding arguably better defense. You're adding more contact. Again, speed on the bases means a lot. It means a ton. To be able to go first to third, first to home, second to home easy, guys that could bunt, guys that could move runners over, stolen bases. Let's not forget that if Peraza and Volpe play a whole season, You're looking at guys that can steal 70 bags together.
Right.
Combined. They could do that. That's very, very possible.
And first and third on the base hit, scoring on a base hit from second. That's the type of
putting
stuff
pressure.
Don't do enough of.
Putting pressure. And the only thing that I would want with that is, and I know it's wishful thinking that it wouldn't happen, get me a manager who has the experience already. Forget all this first-year guy. Try to find me somebody who's been there and done that and who doesn't tolerate that I'm not running to first base or I'm pimping a ball and waiting. To stop tolerating that. Stop thinking it's okay for them to do it. Because look, somebody told me, well, Pete, I said it's weak leadership. Because if you, and then the excuses come along with it, and this and that. You're like, okay, don't blame the players, blame the leaders. They're leading from the front with this.
Right.
When Glaber doesn't run, they say no big deal. Nobody talks to him.
I have a lot of issues with the hustle. Josh Donaldson pimping home runs that hit the top of the wall and come back in.
Ridiculous.
I got a real problem with that. First of all, you shouldn't be pimping home runs unless they're 10 rows deep.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
I have no problem with pimping home runs, but you got to get all of it to pimp some home runs. I don't want a bat flip on a ball that hits the wall.
And he's played long enough that he knows when he got it. Let's be real. Come on.
That's maybe there was too much wind that day. Right. But I know a lot of people are kind of against this because he hasn't won much, but I think Don Mattingly might actually be a decent fit just because of the way he played the game, too, the way he swung the bat. He knows a lot about some of the areas that the Yankees can improve, right?
Yep.
Just playing in New York, dealing with booing, dealing with guys who don't hustle. And then, the fact that Joe Torre never won before he came to the Yankees didn't mean much. He was ready. He was at the point in his career where he was ready. I think Don Mattingly is ready. Thoughts on Donnie?
I do too. I would love Donnie baseball, man. I love it. One, he got the Yankee lore. He got that legacy there with him. But like you said, it's the way he played. I mean, I don't think Don Mattingly will come into next year and listen to people that say, hey, let's bat Rizzo leadoff or Judge leadoff. I think he go, no, these are my run producers.
Right.
You know what I mean? We need leadoff hitters. That's obviously a problem with this offense. I think he would recognize something like that. That you do need a Starlin Marte type, an Andrew Benintendi type, those type of guys that could get on first base and end up at second base. Or that could get on first base and let's say for an example, next year they don't get a Correa or anybody, but they go, hey, we brought Benny back and you know what? That Harrison Bader looked really good up top. He's kind of quick. He's fast.
Yeah.
What if you go with that 1-2 punch, Bader, Benny Bader? And they go with that, well, we got Judge and Rizzo Stanton behind them. I'd sit there and go, it's not major moves, but you know what? It's better than what we had last year.
Better construction.
So I'd be okay with that.
You get speed. You get the Volpe.
Correct.
You get the Peraza, Cabrera. And then guess what? Those guys are on base, and you got to throw the top of the order fastballs. What do you know?
Yep.
Baseball
what do you know?
101.
Thank you. Baseball being back front and center. Not let's reinvent this thing. Don Mattingly's been there and done that. And like you said, you're right. You know what? He has that experience. He's been there. New York's not going to bother him. We know that. New York media is not going to bother him. He has everything that it takes to knowing the Yankee legacy, how you should play as a Yankee. That's instilled in him. He's a Yankee great. So there might be a little more pressure on him, but I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing for somebody like him. He also has the want to win a World Series.
100%.
And doing it for the Yankees would be even better.
That's that there's certain times where Judge 61 years after 61 home run number 61. I'm just envisioning the year 23. Don Mattingly putting on the number 23. That has that same kind of symmetrical feeling to it.
It would be awesome. It would be awesome. And how about this too? Captain and captain.
And look, I'll go you one better. Captain. Derek Jeter said he wants to get back into this organization.
Don't do this to me.
No, look.
I said it. Look, I don't care if he's GM. I don't know. I said this the other day. I'm not smart enough to know what position he should be at in the front office. All I know is this needs to be back there.
I want that understanding of the winning culture.
Yes.
And of people. You have to understand people. I guarantee you this. Derek Jeter would never have brought Aroldis Chapman onto the Yankees.
No,
because he was Aroldis Chapman first. We found that out without any doubt this year. We always, I think, kind of knew it.
Yeah.
But if somebody tattoos their own stats on their arm, I don't want that. I don't want that. I want a guy who doesn't know his stat. They used to ask, Paul O'Neill what he's hitting in July. He wouldn't even know. I don't know. I hit the ball hard a couple at bats today. It doesn't.
You know what you're sounding like? What the Yankees need? They need ball players.
Yeah.
Then unfortunately, people are gonna like this. They need more Brett Gardners.
Yeah.
I'm not saying him specifically, but the mindset and the play and the hustle and you'll never see me not busted down the line. I'm going to play 100% every day.
You know who reminds me of Brett Gardner is Harrison Bader. He really does.
Yes,
he does. And I got to give Cashman. We can't kill Cashman and then say, oh, we love Bader, because I killed him on that move. That was a good move. And I'm not saying that Brian Cashman.
I loved it.
I'm not saying that Brian Cashman makes nothing but bad moves. That was clearly a good move.
Yeah.
But I think he definitely overlooks a lot of perfect fits in order to try and be creative when he's just not creative. You write Bryce Harper a check for $300 million, and you give him number 34, and you say, "Go play left field, big boy."
Bro, look how good those numbers look right now for Harper yearly. It's a joke. What is he? 25, 26 million?
Yeah, 26 million, and I think he's 29 years old.
Yeah,
and he's
come on now, man.
Icon of a city. He would have hit 600 home runs in Yankee Stadium too.
Wow. And hit the ball out anywhere in the ballpark, it wouldn't be a problem. I mean,
and he's got the edge, the attitude. Yep. Remember when he got hit in the back? I think it was his first series in Philly. Cole Hamels drilled him in the back. Stole second, stole third, stole home. Yeah. That's what the Yankees need.
Yeah, and that's why I go along with saying again, the Yankees need to stop. And a lot of times, unfortunately, it's a lot of people in the fan base too feel the same way. And you got to get that out of your mind. Harper is a gamer. He's a ball player. I say he plays balls out. Balls are hanging out the jockstrap. He don't care. He's ready to roll. Same thing for Machado. Same thing for a guy that's going to be available. Carlos Correa. You think Carlos Correa is going to sit there at shortstop and see Gleyber Torres bobble balls and go, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You couldn't get to that? You need that personality on the 98 Yankees had it.
Yep.
99 had it. 2000. Jorge Posada would grab you by your jersey.
He's somebody that would be great to get back in the mix. I don't think he wants to.
Put him as the bench coach.
Look, I don't know if you've ever seen his wife. I sat next to her at a game. I don't blame him for not wanting to leave the house.
I would stay home forever. I never leave the house. Laura Posada, I'd never leave the house.
100%. But yeah, I definitely think the Yankees need to get some of those guys from the winning culture in the 90s back in the mix. And I really do. As patient as we've been with Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone, I think it's time. And even if it comes at the cost of not winning for a couple of years, I'm willing to pay that price.
Me too. And again, I just want to, throw this out there. For the Yankees too, I think we are used to what Brian Cashman could do. I'll be honest with you, I would love to see what a modern age GM with the Yankees money, the Yankees prospect capital, could turn this team into in one offseason. Just if Hal Steinbrenner comes back and goes, hey, what's your plan? He goes, hey, look, we're going to eat some of the salaries that we got to get rid of because we have to. We have to do that. We're going to save money. We're going to get some money back, but we got to eat some of it. Yeah. So if Aaron Hicks is $10 million a year, we're going to pay $6 million. If Donaldson is $25 million this year, we're going to go half. But we're saving that money. What we're then going to do is trade away some of the guys currently that might be a little productive, but they're owed a lot. We got to move this stuff off. Gleyber Torres, guys like that. We don't got to bring back Jameson Taillon. We don't got to bring back, obviously, Britton, Chapman. Those guys go. But we're going to add free agent-wise. Let's say, for an example, we need a leader in the infield for this new young infield we're going to have. We're gonna go out there and give Correa 25, 26, 27 million a season. Bring back Aaron Judge. With that being said, that's it. And the reason why I think that's going to work, Mr. Steinbrenner, is because the youth that we've been talking about is indeed ready. And I'm not even talking about just Cabrera, Peraza, and Volpe. Austin Wells is very close. Spencer Jones is tearing the cover off of the ball.
Dominguez is going to be a problem.
Dominguez is going to be a problem. These guys are all here. So instead of being silly, let's think about it like the Atlanta Braves do. If Peraza comes up, has a great year, these guys have great years, in the next 1 to 3 to 4 years,
sign them.
We're going to lock these guys up long term. That is the plan for the future. Will year one be tremendous? Maybe, maybe not. Hell, I don't think they really believed there was a World Series team in the offseason. They said it was. We'll say it again. But let me tell you what it's going to do. we're going to be saving money, we're putting assets to guys that are going to win now, and we're giving the plan to the fans that the guys you've been waiting for are going to be here and they're going to contribute. We're not going to let them sit in the minors forever anymore. They're going to be up here playing. That simple. I think if they do that, they could shock a lot of people and be exceptional next year.
We'll see. Pete Simonetti, NYY News TV. Watch parties every night during the season. A lot of good off-season commentary. Appreciate it, Pete.